Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So first of all, I'd like to thank Vamachandra Prabhu and Kumataji for arranging this program and allowing me to come here, go in for a while. Actually, to be honest with you, anytime I get invited to the same place twice, I remember this story that happened in my town, Lucknow. In Lucknow, we have lots of what's called mushaira, which is poetry. People assemble and they sing poetry. And literally hundreds and hundreds of people show up. So this person came on the stage and he read his poetry. And everyone said, once more, once more, once more. So he did it again. They said, once more, once more, once more. They kept doing that. After about 10 times, he said, well, let's stop. Why do you keep saying once more, once more? And they said, we'll keep saying it until you get it right. So, until say it the right way. So I'm just wondering if I get invited a second time saying, one day you'll say something right as opposed to nonsense that I normally speak. So, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate that. ISKCON, serving Krishna. What is it about? It's about relationships. ISKCON devotional service is a very personal business. Krishna is very personal, it's not impersonal. When we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we chant Krishna's name, we're actually establishing a relationship with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada often said that when we chant sincerely, holy name being non-different from Krishna himself, not only starts to dance on our tongue, but Krishna actually shows up and gives our association. So the more we chant, the stronger the relationship we establish or we are able to establish with Krishna. Now there's something interesting about the name Krishna. Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion that when we say Krishna, we don't mean just Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we mean his qualities, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and very importantly, his devotees. So when we are trying to establish relationship with Krishna, we are also trying to establish relationship with his devotees. And we often hear that we serve Krishna to please Krishna. If we're trying very hard to please Krishna, but we are ignoring his devotees, or worse yet, if we do not have a good relationship with the devotees of Krishna, then Krishna is never pleased. Actually, it is said that Krishna accepts our service through Guru and the Vaishnavas. We have a very famous bhajan which says, Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, Yasya aprasadat nakati. This is exactly what it is saying. If the spiritual master is pleased, Krishna accepts our service. If he is not pleased, forget him. And that applies to the devotees of Krishna also. We know, for example, the three types of devotees, the Kanishtha-adhikari, Madhyam-adhikari, and Uttam-adhikari. The definition of Kanishta, which is the lowest type of a devotee, is that devotee worships the deity, tries to establish the deity, but that's about it. He does not care about the devotees of Krishna. And Krishna is not pleased. So, with your permission, tonight we'll talk about the importance, elaborate on this point about the importance of our relationship with the other devotees, and how it is futile to serve Krishna every which way without having good relationships with other devotees of Krishna is simply a waste of time, because Krishna is not accepting our service. He's definitely not being pleased when we have that. Even Prabhupada said, and it's a very famous quote by Srila Prabhupada, that your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate with each other. I may have paraphrased it, but that's basically what he said. The cooperation among the devotees becomes very important in our service to Krishna. We can do all sorts of sadhana, we can understand the philosophy very, very well, but without good relationship with the devotees, we're not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, there's a comparison given that a devotee without loving relationships with other devotees is like a baby in the womb of his mother. Very lonely, not too much independence, and certainly no fun. When the mother eats something sour, something salty, something pungent, something hot, the baby suffers with no choice. And we can see that. There's so much suffering in this world, and most of it, not all of it, but most of it is caused by other people. And that is happening because the relationship between people is either non-existent or is very poor. Countries are fighting, communities are fighting, neighbors are fighting, even in the family, brothers are fighting, sisters are fighting, and on and on. Because they have established a relationship at a very superficial level. If we have seen the ocean, we see the waves that are so high, so turbulent, and so frequent. There can be no peace if you look at the waves, how they are behaving. But if you go deep in the ocean, it's very calm. It's very, very calm. What that means is that we have to go under the sense, our senses, our bodily demands, our selfish interests, which obviously always relate to our sense gratification. Then and then only we can establish good relationships with each other. Which is where bhakti comes in. Some people translate bhakti as devotion or worship, but Prabhupada says no, those are wrong translations. Bhakti means devotional service. Devotional service means serving somebody with love, serving somebody with the heart, not with the hands and the feet and the brains, because that's called a business transaction. We all have that. If you're working somewhere, you're dealing with clients, it's all about you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Just call it transactional relationship. I think we talked about that last time also. You go to the Bay or another store, you buy something, you pay the cashier some money, the cashier gives you whatever article you're buying, and that's it. There is no relationship. You don't invite the cashier for dinner. She does not invite you for dinner. There's no relationship. So similarly, with Krishna and Krishna's devotees, it's not enough to have a transactional relationship. Because transactional relationships are always based on self-interest. We can even take the example of relationships in a temple. And I've visited a lot of temples, and I live in Toronto, there's a very large congregation there. And I see this all the time. When we are using the devotees to serve, like, hey, cook for the deities, clean the pots, clean the temple, go do this, but that's about it, people become unhappy. I cannot speak for Vancouver, but I can speak for Toronto. Thousands, and I mean thousands, not tens, not hundreds, thousands of devotees have come and gone away. And the one prominent reason for that is they felt unprotected and uncared for. They actually have said to me, I feel used. I came with great degree of enthusiasm. I really wanted to serve, I wanted to get involved, but then I got used, I got exploited. Every time, the moment I enter the temple, they send me to the kitchen, wash these pots. Every Sunday the same thing happens, but nothing else. I'm out of here. We have examples of such devotees who've been for a long time, and they leave, never to come back because they feel they didn't ever get anything out of this. They simply served and went away. So we have to look at how best to establish that devotee relationship, which will be lasting, which will do something for us. And to do that, we have to understand how precious devotee relationships are. Just getting human birth is very rare. I always like to tell people there are 8.4 million species, out of which 8 million are non-human species. Some species last 10 seconds only. Some species last 10,000 years. So to simplify the math, if we say the average lifespan of a species is 1 year, and if after this birth we get through the cycle where we have to go through each one of those species, then how many years before you come back as human being? 8 million years, right? Which is almost 2 Kali Yugas, 2 Dwapara Yugas, 2 Treta Yugas, and 2 Sat Yugas before we come back as human. So, Prahlad said, Durlabha Manush Janam. It's very difficult to get a human birth. And there's a very famous bhajan which says, Bhajav Reman, which says, Durlabha Manush Janam Satsange Tarahu E Bhavasinyo. He said, now finally you got a human birth. Do satsang. Do the devotee association. Because who knows when you will get this human birth. And Krishna says, human birth is rare, but even more rare is devotee association. So it is possible that they get 2, 3, 4 human births before you start to get devotee association. And then if you ruin that relationship, Krishna says, you know what? You might have to wait another 1,000 human births before you get another devotee association. So we're getting an idea of how precious this devotee association is. We don't want to ruin this. And therefore we should take a look at how to do this. Sometimes we don't like to ask ourselves how to develop good devotee relationships. Why? Because we've got lots of money, we've got every material thing we need, bunch of cars, big house, nice wife, nice children, nice husband, whatever position in the society. Hey, life is good. Why do I need anything else? But it is those same people who feel very lonely at heart. It is those same people who are depressed. Do you know that in UK is a ministry of loneliness? I'm not joking. You can Google it. You can see it. Generally speaking, UK is considered a rich country. There's lots of comfort there. But they have the need for a ministry of loneliness because people are so lonely. And let me surprise you further. How many people in India? 1.3 billion, well, maybe 1.3 billion plus 3 before I finish my sentence, right? They are thinking about starting a ministry of loneliness in India. Depression is a problem. Loneliness is a problem. In that country are so many people. You can barely walk without rubbing shoulders with somebody. But people are lonely. Why? All the relationships have been based on, what's in it for me? What will you do for me? And so when that happens, the moment something is not satisfied, some need is not satisfied, there's fight ensues. So many divorces are happening, so many families are splitting up, children are walking away. Why? Because they established the relationship based on sense gratification. The moment that does not happen, I'm out of you. So going back to the example of the ocean, we have to look at deeper relationship, which is the relationship of the heart. And we're going to start with Krishna. It's very clear, Krishna has said so, our acharyas have said so, that Krishna is looking for feelings in your heart. So therefore, in Krishna consciousness, feelings are more important than actions. On the other hand, in the material world, actions are more important than feelings. Because we cannot understand what's in your heart. You can only judge you by what you do. But Krishna knows as Paramatma what's in our heart. He doesn't care about the actions. What's the feeling in the heart? We have examples of somebody offering chana. Everybody knows what chana is? Yeah. But Krishna says, I accept it with I'm relishing it. Sudama brought chipped rice, and Krishna gave him the world. Why? Because the feeling in the heart of these people was nothing but love for Krishna. On the other hand, someone like Duryodhana offered a very opulent luncheon for Krishna. Krishna didn't bother going there because there was a show off. And where did he go and what did he eat? He went to Vidur's house, and what did he get to eat? Banana peel. And he said, when Vidura tried to stop his wife, he said, what are you doing? Krishna said, no, don't say anything. It's almost 2 million years ago that I enjoyed fruits as much as I'm enjoying today. It's referring to the time when, as Lord Ramchandra was fed bear, that she had tasted first and given it to him. Again, because of so much love in her heart. She said, I accept this. So when we do that kind of thing with Krishna, because Krishna is his devotees also, if our relationship with Krishna is good, our relationship with the devotees automatically is good. Because now it is based on how do we best serve Krishna, as opposed to how can I get you to wash a few more pots, do 4 more artis, or do 1 more cooking, or cook a little bit more than you normally do. And when that keeps on happening, the relationship is disturbed. On the other hand, when the feeling is mutual that yes, indeed, we are all in this game to simply serve Krishna for his pleasure, then the mood is different. And I want to give an example of Lord Chaitanya. When he was going to the forest of Jharkhand, I don't know how many of you know that story. He was on his way to Vrindavan and he went through this forest. And this forest, there were lions, there were tigers, there were goats, there were deers, there were all sorts of animals on the trees. And he asked them all to start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there were these trees, there were these tigers, there were these deers, there were this, goats, and I don't know, all kinds of animals you can imagine. They had their hands raised and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and dancing. And there was this deers embracing a tiger, there was a lion embracing a goat. The natural enemies forgot their enmity, because they were all engaged in serving Krishna through the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And it wasn't because Lord Chaitanya was telling to do that. It's the power of chanting. It's the power of doing it from the heart, that I'm doing this to serve Krishna. So therefore, we have to remember that it's not about using somebody for our purposes, but rather supporting somebody's service for pleasing Krishna. As we know, Rupa Goswami talks about the 6 loving exchanges. But he also talks about the 3 types of devotees. You have the senior devotees, the intermediate, and then you have the neophytes. And we should learn how to serve all of them, because when we serve the devotees, Krishna is pleased. And the entire purpose of our existence is to please Krishna. And here's an easy way. We don't talk about austerities. We're not asking you to go to the forest, leave your family, and stand on one foot and one arm raised and don't eat anything for 12 years. We're not asking you to do all that. Simply saying, live where you are. Interact with people. So when we meet senior devotees, how do we serve the senior devotees? By hearing them. By serving them. For example, offering prashadam. Following the instructions. This is how we serve senior devotees. How do we serve people who are at our level? Rupa Goswami says, Dadati pratigrihanati guhyam akhati pachati bhunjate bhojate cha shabdha priti lakshanam. So give them gifts. What's the best gift you can give somebody? Books, Krishna, yeah. Service to Krishna, that's the best gift. Receive that. So now imagine if there were two devotees and they completely believed in the principle of the Dati Pratigrihanati. And one of them says, can you please serve me here? He says, you're giving me a gift. Thank you very much, I'll do this. Right? But it's Pratigrihanati too. So when the other devotee says, can you do this for me? We can't say, wait a minute, I'm the servant leader, I'm the temple council member. I'm not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. Relationship broken, because then it's not at the heart level. So Rupa Goswami says, hey, think about that and think about serving each other for the sake of pleasing Krishna. And if we do that, we'll see that the real joy of our life comes through good relationships with each other. Any temple, any country, any community where the relationships are not good does not prosper. And it's certainly true for devotee communities. And if you visit different temples, you will see, you can feel it, that when the relationships are good, the temple is prospering at anything. The temple hall is packed, people are fighting to do more service as opposed to running away when they see the temple council member coming and saying, I don't want to get on this service, let's run away for a while. You can see the difference. And we need to tell people that it's important to have that relationship, because this is basic principle, basic teaching of Lord Chaitanya, to have that good relationship. It's like mandatory for us to make any kind of progress in our devotional service, to have that good relationship. Like I was saying before, you can read all the books, you can memorize all the 18,000 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and 700 from Gita and all the scriptures. There's nothing. Nothing. On the other hand, you may not know any verses, you may not understand philosophy enough to explain it, but if we are able to develop those good, close relationships with the devotees, Krishna is very pleased. And all these relationships have to be based on service. So you're serving me, I'm serving you, you're serving Krishna and I'm serving Krishna, but in that process, I'm serving you and maybe you're serving me. That's all mutual. When that relationship is at that level, then the trust automatically develops, because you know I'm not being used. There are many examples in the scriptures. Just imagine the trust that Vasudeva showed in Nanda Maharaj by saying, hey, can you take my wife and keep me in your house? I don't know how long I'll be in the prison. But can she live in your house? Nanda Maharaj, imagine his, knowing that if Kansa finds out I have Vasudeva's wife in my house, he'll kill me and my whole clan. But he says, it's okay. Because the trusting, loving relationship between the two people. There's a story about, sorry, before I say that, I didn't say the third part of that relationship, which is, so you got the superior, you got the equals, and you got people who are newer than you are. So how do we serve them? We serve them by showing our compassion to them. Compassion doesn't mean, oh, you poor guy, you need some money, I'll give it to you, here, take it. That's not what compassion is. Compassion is recognizing that we are all in a miserable state. We are all suffering. And no matter who we are, what our social status is, what our financial status is, we are all suffering. And the only way to stop that suffering is to get out of it. So that's what compassion is. Which means giving Krishna to the people who don't understand yet that Krishna is good for them. There's a very wonderful story in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. When he was traveling through South India, he went to a place called Kurmakshetra, where he met the Kurma Brahmin, stayed with him for a while. And when he was leaving, the Kurma Brahmin said, my Lord, I cannot let you go. They said, Lord Chaitanya said, well, I got to go. So he said, okay, fine, I understand that, but I'm coming with you. And he started going with Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, no, you cannot come with me. You got a family, you got children, you got to take care of them. The Kurma Brahmin said, I'm not leaving you, I'm coming with you. So Lord Chaitanya said, okay, stop and let's follow one of my instructions. He says, what? He says, Jaake dekho tare kaho, Krishna Udes. Amara agya guru hoya, taro Udes. So that's Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Kurma, but it's to all of us. And that's how we are showing compassion. Whomever we meet, wherever we meet, whenever we meet, just tell them about Krishna. And telling them about Krishna doesn't mean that, okay, sit down here and let me preach to you. It can be something as simple as giving them prasadam. I have written down Hare Krishna Mahamantra to people saying, don't worry about what it means, don't worry about what it is. You are miserable, and they have told me they are miserable. You start chanting and see what happens to you. They are very happy to get that because they are so frustrated in their life. So that's the way we can show compassion to them. And when we do that, Krishna is automatically pleased. But that level of trust, that thought process will not come to us unless we are used to keeping Krishna in the center of our life. Which means everything revolves around Krishna. And I know it's hard, but we need to learn to practice to ask one question before we do anything. That question is this going to please Krishna or not? It's a very simple question, but very hard question. But we need to practice to do that if we want to make progress. But when we do that, our relationships with the devotees of Krishna will automatically be enhanced. They automatically become closer. Another example of compassion is, again, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. There was Vasudeva Viprava. He said, my dear Lord, I don't want to go to Golok Vrindavana. I don't want liberation. Please kindly give me the sinful reactions of all the living entities in the material world. Let me suffer, but give them delivery. That was the level of his compassion. I'll suffer for eternity. But let the rest of the world finish their miseries and go home back to God. Lord Chaitanya almost cried when he heard that. I said, you show real compassion. And you can imagine how pleased he would have been with Vasudeva Viprava just to hear this thought process. Sometimes we hear all this and we say, what nonsense. I got relationships, I got money, I got everything I need. Why do I want to worry about it? But what happens is that our material needs may actually be satisfied for a while. That material satisfaction is always temporary, because if that was not the case, somebody who has got $10 million would not be working very hard to get another $10 million. And who has got $100 million would not be working very hard to get another $100 million. It's never enough. You got one car, you need second one. You got two cars, you need third one. You got one house, now you get multiple properties, so you can say I got multiple properties. And as I was saying earlier, there is that emptiness in the heart, even with all those material things. Why? Because heart has a need. We have a need. There was a very famous song a long time ago. I think it was Dean Martin's song. That's how old it is. Everybody needs somebody to love. Have anybody heard that song?
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. And we can't get that without money. We can't get that without power or fame or whatever. Because if we could, who was this actor who was in Martin Mindy? His name?
Robin Williams.
Thank you. Robert Williams would not have committed suicide. You know, so many other actors, rich people, famous people would not have committed suicide because they feel empty in the heart. And the shape, basically they have a hole in the heart. The shape of that hole looks like what? It looks like Krishna. So has anybody done puzzles, 500-piece puzzles, 5,000-piece puzzles? The pieces have to fit exactly in wherever the hole is in that puzzle, right? You cannot force fit it. You cannot fit, a square peg in the round hole and all those kind of things. It doesn't work. So whenever we try to fill that hole that's in the shape of Krishna with money, with fame, with power, it doesn't fit. So the emptiness remains. And because the relationships are superficial at that level, the relationships are not satisfying. So you have emptiness in your heart, relationships are not fulfilling. What happens? You get a depression. Or that feeling of loneliness for which we have to create ministries now to fix it. Don't know what they will do. They are certainly not going to become Krishna conscious and send everybody to the temple, this cure here. They won't do that. So they never succeed. We will continue to do that anyway. So therefore, the only time we'll feel content, only time we feel true happiness is when we are able to fill that hole with Krishna. That's the only thing that fits. And Krishna says, if you think you are my devotee, you are not my devotee. Everyone knows that verse from Bhagavatam? But if you are devotee of my devotee, you really are my devotee. So the only way we can fill that Krishna-shaped hole is by serving the devotees and having wonderful, loving relationships with the devotees. So it becomes very, very important to have that. Like I was saying before, bhakti means relationships. And because that hole in the heart is in the shape of Krishna, only love for Krishna, love for the devotees can bring Krishna in our heart. Otherwise, according to the scriptures, if we take Krishna's name once, you go back to Godhead. How many times have we been chanting Krishna's name? I've probably chanted millions of times over the last, I don't know how many years. I'm still here and I ain't going to back on God. I can tell you that for sure. What's the difference? The scriptures say once is enough. And I'm saying, show me. I've done millions of times. I'm not going. What is the difference? The difference is like a person with a gun firing blanks. There's no effect of the blanks. Or a person taking a capsule, which is just a shell, no medicine inside. There's no effect. So when we chant Krishna's name without any feelings for Krishna or Krishna's devotees, it's like firing blanks or taking that empty capsule. We cannot be cured of the disease, we cannot achieve our purpose. So we have to stop firing those blanks, we have to stop taking those empty capsules, and we have to develop those feelings. But those feelings can be developed only in the association of the devotees. That's the only way. There's no other way. We hear from the devotees, we sit down and discuss about him. Katyantas chamam nitya tushyanti cha ramanti cha. That's the only way. There's no other way. There's no other solution. So we have to work on that relationship with those devotees. So then what happens is that on the platform of bhakti, it's a higher principle involved. The lower principle is satisfying our senses. Higher principle is satisfying our heart, satisfying Krishna, satisfying Krishna's devotees. So, if you make that commitment to serve Krishna and Krishna's devotees, all the good things start to happen. The love develops, the relationship with Krishna, the relationship with the devotees strengthens. You start to feel happier, you feel more encouraged to do even more service than we're doing today. And then it's like a snowball effect. What happens to snowball? If you roll it down a hill, this size snowball starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just the bottom is really big. And that's what we want to do. And it all starts with good devotee relationships. Those relationships can be good only when it's based on the principle of service. Serving the devotees and serving Krishna, supporting other devotees and getting the support from other devotees and serving Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. So I'll stop here, but the main message is, let us have wonderful relations with the devotees. You're doing a great job, Prabhu, inviting all the devotees here regularly the last 3 years. Or is it more than that?
Almost
4?
3.
Almost 3 years. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, what a wonderful way to establish devotee relationships. So I'd like to thank you. Hare Krishna. Any comments, realizations, corrections? Yes, Prabhuji?
बोला गुड डिवोटी का संग करना चाहिए तो गुड डिवोटी को हम कैसे पहचानें
So,
कैसे पता चले गुड
actually I did not say good devotee acceptance. I said devotee association. So I did not say that. But anyway, I understand your point. It's a very dangerous thing actually to say this is a good devotee, this is a bad devotee, this is a inferior devotee, this is a superior devotee. We don't know. We don't know what's in the heart of somebody. Even a devotee who looks like constantly engaged in service may be a rascal. And I've seen people, especially newer people, they come in the first 6 months, like you say, my God, they must have been pure devotee in their previous life. They come into all service. And 6 months later, they come. For some of the reasons we talked about today, because they were not protected, they were not cared for, but they're gone. If they're a real devotee, they won't care. So let us not judge the quality of devotion in the heart of another devotee. A friend of mine always said, who died and made you a judge? So nobody died, let's not become a judge of the character, of the devotion of other people. So therefore, our assumption should always be, everyone is superior to me. This is why, in iskcon at least, we use the term Prabhu for all other devotees. But Prabhu means, you are my master, and I am Das.